Since your firing, have you met with former CIA Director John Brennan?
Yes, once, I think.
And former National Intelligence Director Jim Clapper?
Yep, saw him the night before last, I think.
Together?
No. Actually, I had dinner with the two of them together and our spouses.
You talked Trump case, or?
No, we did not.
All right. After your hand-picked deputy, Andrew McCabe, was fired, you tweeted this. You said, Special Agent McCabe stood tall over the last 8 months when small people were trying to tear down an institution we all depend on. He served with distinction for 2 decades. I wish Andy well. I also wish continued strength for the rest of the FBI. America needs you. You know, the Inspector General found that McCabe lied 4 times, 3 of them under oath. Kimberly Strassel from the Wall Street Journal tweeted a lot of possible questions for you, but here's one. Please discuss Andrew McCabe and the IG report that finds he lied repeatedly, both to you and about you. Do you still believe he stood tall, as you tweeted in January, or is he one of the small people helping to tear down an institution?
Yeah, I still believe he stood tall. He represented himself and the organization under tremendous stress during that period after I was fired. But I read the IG report as you did. It concluded that Andy had not been candid. This is what accountability looks like in the Justice Department.
Should he be prosecuted?
That's not for me to say.
Well, wait, you said it in the Clinton case.
Well, I was then the director of the FBI.
Which
I'm a
was not your role at that moment.
Private citizens should not be calling for the prosecution of people in a case they're not involved in. But I do believe, as it routinely happens, the IG will likely refer it, or has referred it, to a U.S. Attorney's Office to look at it.
So, did you... you see the disparity here, where people look at how the Clinton case was handled and how the Trump case is handled. Did you tell lawmakers...
I don't see disparity,
Did you tell lawmakers that FBI agents didn't believe former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was lying intentionally to investigators?
No.
You did not
and
tell
I saw that in the media. I don't know what. Maybe someone misunderstood something I said. I didn't believe that and didn't say that.
About the controversial text messages, we just received a lot more up on Capitol Hill today. If you knew back then, when you were in charge of the investigation, and you saw those texts between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, the level of animus they had against President Trump, what would you have done?
I'd have removed both of them from any contact with significant investigations.
So shouldn't their work...
Including those involving anybody connected to President Trump, but beyond that. Because
so
it's just such poor judgment.
Shouldn't their work product then be questioned?
Sure, it's a reasonable question to ask.
So then
they
Peter
were bad-mouthing everybody, including the candidate Trump.
So Peter Strzok interviews Hillary Clinton, deals with the bleach bit and the server and Cheryl Mills, all of that, interviews Michael Flynn, and is integral in this whole case.
But he's one of many other people involved in all the things you just ticked off. It's a reasonable question to ask, and I can tell you this. When I saw the text, I was deeply disappointed in them, but I never saw any bias, any reflection of any kind of animus towards anybody, including me. I'm sure I'm bad-mouthing those texts. I'm just not going to read them all. Never saw it. But that's why we had such a big team of people.
Well, you were in charge
to bang on each other.
So the buck stops with you.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. I'm responsible.
Jonathan tweeted in, what was the insurance policy Deputy Director McCabe, Strzok, and Page were discussing in his office?
I have no idea.
Any clue?
The problem I had reading the text, I'm sure you've had the same challenges. If anybody pulled any of your listeners' texts or viewers' texts and there's no context, it's hard to figure out what they're talking about. So
There's a lot of text. There's a lot of context with those guys.
Well, the ones I've looked at, I've had a hard time figuring out.
This morning, the president also said this on Fox and Friends.
You look at the corruption at the top of the FBI, it's a disgrace. And our Justice Department, which I try and stay away from, but at some point I won't.
What do you think he meant there?
I don't know. I hope he didn't mean that he's going to decide by executive fiat to direct the actions of what is supposed to be an impartial law enforcement function. Lady Justice has a blindfold. It should stay on.
Did the Inspector General interview you about your handling of the memos?
Sure, yeah.
Has
already. And I expect a report from them, not on the handling of classified information, because that's frivolous, but on, did I comply with policy? Did I comply with my employment agreement?
You said you didn't leak, but there's a New York Times story in April 2017 that first reported the Lynch email. You didn't write about it here in this book because you said it's classified. The New York Times wrote a lot about it. Did the FBI Public Affairs coordinate that story?
Not to my knowledge. And I'm not going to comment on any stories because I'm not allowed to confirm or deny classified information.
All right. In the infamous Oval Office meeting with President Trump, when you asked you to stay behind one-on-one, you write in the book that you felt awkward. You didn't like it.
Correct.
You had been one-on-one with President Obama in the Oval Office.
Correct.
But this was different.
Yeah, because he booted out the Attorney General of the United States who was lingering trying to stay.
As opposed to the presidential photographer who President Obama boots out.
Sure.
Okay, so you say you didn't push back when he said he hoped you could see your way clear of letting Flynn go, that he was a good guy, hope you can let it go. You said you didn't push back and that he should have known that he couldn't do that. All right, so let's assume that's true, that he should have known that. Is it possible there was another reason why you didn't push back, and that is that you wanted to keep your job?
It's possible, but it's not the case. At least I don't remember thinking about that at the time.
You told CNN last night that you didn't think you'd be fired, that, you know, had you not been fired, you would still be working as FBI director tonight.
Yeah. In fact, that was my intention, to serve another 6 years.
So despite the fact that now you say that this president is morally unfit, that you say impeachment is too good of a remedy on the book tour.
That's not what I said, in a way, I hope not, because I think the voters need to speak.
Exactly. And on the media tour and the Blitz, you basically are encouraging voters to vote Trump out of office because he doesn't line up with your values.
I'm asking them to vote their values, and what I believe your viewers would agree are America's values.
Okay. But as of tonight, had you not been fired, you'd still be working for this guy that you say is like a crime boss, who is morally unfit, who you just don't agree with on principle and values. You'd still have that job tonight.
Absolutely. My goal would be to protect the FBI and serve the President of the United States.
When you say
I respect that office tremendously.
When you say to Republicans, why do you work with this president, and then sit there and say you would still have this job tonight, isn't there a disconnect there?
No, because elected officials in Congress have a public platform and are responsible for communicating with the voters in a way the FBI director is not. My job would be to protect the independence of the institution. Their job should be to represent the people who elected them.
Mr. Comey, the book, Higher Loyalty, has been very successful. We appreciate your time, traffic, and all, sir.
Thank you for your patience and your good questions.
Thank you.